I don't remember anyone ever saying my brother was the favorite. They didn't have to. His tutoring schedule was printed and taped to the fridge. Mine was a sticky note that said, "Don't forget math test." When he turned 16, my parents threw a party. When I turned 16, my dad asked if I'd considered getting a part-time job. It wasn't cruelty, it was structure. Investment went where return was expected. Private tutors arrived 3 evenings a week for him. For me, there was a library card and a bus pass. I learned something early. Competing for attention was exhausting. So I stopped competing. I got quiet. While my brother was being groomed for the future, private school recommendations, networking dinners, golf lessons with my dad's clients, I figured out how to apply for scholarships on a school computer that froze every 20 minutes. I learned how to sit in rooms where no one knew my last name. He got a 30,000 car before graduation. I got a suitcase. When he joined my dad's company at 22, there was a dinner with speeches. My father called him the next chapter. My mother cried in a way that suggested fulfillment. When I left for another city the same year, my mom hugged me and said, "Call if you need anything." I didn't. Distance clarified things. I wasn't angry all the time like I'd been as a teenager. I was simply detached. The family narrative had already been written. I wasn't in it. I built my life the way I studied in school, quietly, methodically, without announcement. I worked in tech, then started consulting. I lived cheaply, reinvested everything. Failed once, nearly failed again, adjusted. The first time I crossed 7 figures in net worth, I was alone in my apartment eating takeout from a cardboard box. There was no one to tell, and strangely, I preferred it that way. Years passed before I returned home for anything more than a holiday dinner. The BBQ that summer wasn't special, just relatives, folding chairs, overcooked burgers. My brother was holding court near the grill, explaining some expansion plan at the company. My dad stood beside him with the satisfied posture of a man whose blueprint had worked. I stayed near the patio door, talking to my cousin about nothing in particular. The shift happened casually. My aunt, my mom's older sister, walked over with her phone in her hand. "Is this you?" she asked. On the screen was a business article. My name. A photo I barely remembered posing for. It mentioned the acquisition of my firm. Numbers were included. She didn't announce it loudly. But someone overheard. Within minutes, the conversation changed temperature. My brother stepped toward me. "Wait. This says you sold your company." I shrugged. "Part of it. For how much?" I hesitated. Not out of secrecy, just calculation. "Enough." He laughed, but it wasn't amused. "Enough meaning what? This article makes it sound like you're—" He stopped himself, but someone else finished it. "A millionaire," my cousin said. The word landed heavier than I expected. My dad frowned, not in pride, but in confusion. My mom looked like she was trying to rearrange reality in her head. My brother's jaw tightened. "Since when?" he asked. "A while ago. And you just didn't tell anyone." There wasn't much to tell. That was when something cracked in him. Not dramatically. Not a scene. But his voice sharpened. "So you've just been sitting there, acting like you're scraping by. Letting everyone think you're still figuring things out." I felt eyes on me. Waiting for a defense. "I wasn't acting," I said. "I just wasn't reporting." Silence stretched. The grill sizzled behind him. He shook his head. "Unbelievable. Dad's been building something real for decades. And you what? Cashed out on an app." I didn't correct him. I didn't explain market positioning or client contracts. His anger wasn't about understanding. It was about displacement. And then my aunt spoke, not loudly, but clearly enough that everyone turned. "Maybe we should stop pretending this is about building," she said. My father stiffened. "Linda, no," she cut in. "If we're doing comparisons, let's do them honestly." The air shifted. This wasn't casual anymore. She looked at my brother first. "You were protected. Do you know that?" He blinked. "Protected from what?" "The year the company almost collapsed. Before you joined, when your father refinanced the house. When your mother borrowed against her retirement. My mom's face drained. That wasn't. My dad started. It was, my aunt said. I was there. I co-signed one of the short-term loans. The expansion you talk about like it was destiny. It was recovery. My brother stared at my father. What is she talking about? My dad didn't answer right away. The truth wasn't explosive, it was quiet. He admitted there had been a rough period. That the business wasn't the unstoppable machine it appeared to be. That bringing my brother in had been as much about keeping him employed as grooming him for leadership. The image fractured. Not the company, the certainty. My brother stepped back slightly, like the ground had tilted. I felt something then, but it wasn't victory. It was relief. For years, I had been the unproven one. The drifting one. The risk. But risk had been everywhere. It just hadn't been evenly acknowledged. No one apologized, no one congratulated me properly either. The BBQ resumed in fragments. Conversations broke into smaller, safer pieces. My brother avoided me for the rest of the afternoon. When I left, my aunt squeezed my arm. You did fine, she said. I wasn't trying to do anything. That was the difference. I didn't drive away feeling superior. I didn't feel redeemed. Just steady. The hierarchy had shifted, but not because I forced it. It shifted because information did what information does. It leveled things. At home that night, my phone buzzed. A message from my brother. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was afraid. Because for the first time, the conversation wouldn't be about catching up to him. It would be about meeting somewhere even. And I wasn't sure either of us knew how to do that.